Hey everybody, my name is Andreas. Thank you so much for tuning in to another AMA session with AmaZix. In this AMA session, we'll be talking with Dan, who's the CEO of the current project. If you're not aware of who AmaZix is as a company, we are a community management firm working with some of the top ICOs out there in the crypto space. What we do is make sure that Telegram and other communication channels are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, covering all time zones so that all questions get answered, trolls get banned, and people are taken care of, and information is put out correctly. Some of our clients include Salt, WePower, Sharp Capital, and Coin Metro, just to name a few. Thanks for tuning in, and let's jump right into this AMA session. And here we are with Dan Novias, who's the CEO of the current project. Dan, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, can you give us a little 2 or 3 minute spiel on exactly what Current is and what your project is hoping to achieve?
Yeah, so Current is focused on what the future of media consumption is going to look like as we go into the next 2 to 5 years and beyond. So we do this by through a platform and through a protocol, right? So through our platform, we've integrated with some of the biggest media services in the world. Today we have nearly 200 million songs, over 1 billion videos, and 100,000 radio stations. And what our protocol essentially does is while you consume on those different services, it rewards you for your time, your data, and your attention with our utility token. You can then take that token and then pay for your premium membership services. Advertisers can buy advertising in the ecosystem, and then we reward the creators, the curators, and also the consumers in this environment. Something that a lot of people don't know about Current is, they think about it as just a platform. We're actually designing the technology and have actually put out, an updated white paper earlier in January that talks about, our plans for allowing other platforms to use our protocol and specifically media platforms to design and use their own tokens and create their own tokens in their own ecosystems, which then become sub-tokens of the currency network, which is the token that we're designing. So that's kind of the general idea of it. I think that our attention and our time is the most precious asset we own as humans. And right now, the choices of how you direct that, sometimes you're not in control of it. So I think we're giving users back control and choice on how they consume their media, and they direct that attention, especially as we move forward in the digital landscape, and more times are spent in front of computers or phones as you consume media.
Okay, great. Thanks for that little explanation. Sounds like a pretty interesting project to me. So we got a list of questions here for the AMA, so let's jump into the first one. And the first one basically says, why do you need blockchain in the current ecosystem?
Yeah, so we use it in a variety of different facets. So the first one that we're using it for is, well, first I think what's most interesting around what we can do with blockchain and tokenization aspect of things is actually aligning interests. So I think that if you look at how companies are structured today, and you look at say Facebook or Netflix or whomever, you have the shareholders, right, of those companies, and what they're optimizing is for profits. And then you have the users, and the users are optimizing for the best experience. So you see how those interests aren't necessarily aligned. Now, if you're tokenizing an ecosystem, now everyone becomes a stakeholder of some sort because they're owners in that token. And then now you can create that natural network effect that makes platforms and ecosystems successful. And everyone's working towards a common goal. And you can essentially now not necessarily focus on ripping 10 or 20% off of advertising, and you can pass that on to the ecosystem or that to the subscriptions, because the value of growth of the overall network is where really we care about, at Current or at any media platform or whatever platform that's designed to tokenize. So I think the appropriate attribution aspects of how we reward and what the token really stands for is what your time is worth, what your data is worth, and what your attention is worth. And again, I think that there's not really an accurate measure of what that is today. So we do that through blockchain attribution, and then in our white paper we also explain our key goals of what we're doing for decentralized media distribution. So I think that one of the key ideas behind the current platform was how do we get media anywhere in the world to this large group of people? Um, and at first the idea was, okay, well, let's integrate with all these different services. The best way to do that, to get even past those 120 countries that those services are even in, into the 190 some countries, is decentralized media. Except the issue is decentralized media is that there's a chicken and an egg. Because we spent years curating content on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, and people are just going to stop using that because users don't really care. Like, you want to be on those services. So it makes sense for having a centralized network that lives alongside centralized networks. So that's what we're essentially doing is, bringing centralized networks, rewarding you for that attention. As you consume, you get the consumers, you get the creators, and you get the curators, and the network's bought in. And then you can actually have, you build the decentralized media ecosystem on top of that, because now you have tens of millions of users, you have all the creators that you need, you have the distribution network needed, and all the parties bought into that. So those are some of the ways that we're using it today. And there's a variety of other things that we could be doing as well, but those are the main ideas that we express in our white paper.
Exactly. So this next question kind of ties into that then. You mentioned YouTube and Spotify and that sort of thing. Are you at all worried that you guys' platform Current might get blocked on the other platforms, so you wouldn't be able to use their media content also?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I think this is a great question. So the way that we currently work today is, we have a variety of direct partnerships. We have, our own that we also build upon, developer partnerships that they have as well. When you look into these different services, the big thing that they're thinking about is, does this how does this benefit the overall network? If you look at what Current's mission is and what we're doing is, we're actually rewarding people for something that they're currently not being rewarded for, and then allowing them to pay for the premium memberships of those different services. Additionally, as I mentioned earlier, this whole sub-token concept is that we're going to these platforms and we're essentially giving them millions of dollars or more of currency and staking that technology and allowing them to build their infrastructure for blockchain and create their own incentivized ecosystems, because we believe that's what the future of media consumption will be. And then they can launch their own token with Current protocol. So that provides also more value for them as well. So I think that, is it possible that that could happen? Sure, it is possible. I'm not the CEO and making the decisions at those companies. However, I think that we're not dependent on any one platform, and that's the great thing behind Current, is that we have options and we can work with several different platforms, and we bring everything into one place, and also our own libraries and things like that we're doing as well. So but I think that overall the value that we provide to the ecosystems and the users outweighs any cannibalization that might occur. And I think that that's like one of the things that we always think about, and the app has been reviewed by some of these platforms as well, and has gotten approval to be in the App Store as a whole. So again, yeah, anything is possible. So I'm not going to say that it's not, but these are the things that we talk about and think about and have discussed with these platforms directly.
Awesome, great. Well, it sounds to me that you guys have everything under control, so that's good to hear. So moving on a little bit about the ICO, but not really an ICO. You're doing an airdrop. So can you kind of explain why you chose airdrop over the traditional ICO route?
Yeah, so it wasn't an addition, or it wasn't something that we initially planned. It wasn't like we set out like, let's do an airdrop. What happened was, we probably, maybe in early January, we had like 56 people on the Telegram or something. And now I think we're at 97,000 at this recording or something like that. So, it grew quite a bit in a month or so. But even when we make the announcement last Tuesday, it came down to a variety of choices. We had 250,000 people signed up to take part in the token sale. We had a $36 million hard cap that we listed, and we're a consumer-facing ecosystem. So when you think about all those things together, here are the options that I had. Block some countries, because I would have to do that no matter what, right, because of the regulatory environment. So can't accept China, can't accept the United States. So those people would be upset at me. not block. And in addition to that, because token sale is technically only going to come out in March 14th, like at the rate that we were growing, we were going to have 750,000 people trying to get into that. So let's say even half of those people made the whitelist process, or then the allocations that I would have given people would have been like what, zero point 0.1 ether. Like people would have also been upset, right? Or I could have just blocked the other 300 some thousand people and allowed the first 50,000 that got in, and then those people would have been upset. So if you think about all of the choices, I have people being upset no matter what we do. So what was, as a consumer-facing ecosystem where users are the most important thing, what was the best thing that, best options that we had under the current regulatory environment, under what we wanted to see for, users? And then airdrop is what made the most amount of sense, because we're like, look, the community can now participate. We'll allocate a huge allocation. I mean, $4 million is the minimum that we're committing to that airdrop. And, we'll see what the demand is, and could output more. But we're like, now anyone can participate independent of where they're from, what their experience is in crypto, if they want to put money in or not. It's a no risk, for them. And, for us, that made sense to do. And I think that that's the reason that we chose to do an airdrop. And it was kind of like we were like deliberating several things within our team, and then spoke with legal and whatever. And that was ultimately the decision that became about. And I know it was kind of a shock to our community. But fortunately, ever since then, we still had about 50,000 people last week, and we almost gained another 50,000 people, and well over like 6 figures additional worth of emails. And I think with the overall value of the ecosystem in the long run, the more people on Current, the better. Not only will the ecosystem be, but also the more value for the currency network as a whole.
Sure, exactly. So how about some information about like when the airdrop is, who's going to be able to participate, and how you're going to go about doing it?
Yeah, so right now the airdrop sign up is there for anyone. It's up until the 21st. Those people signing up until the 21st will have the first access to the airdrop. It'll probably be 48 to 72 hours in front of everyone else. And basically, it would open up on the 22nd. We'll announce the exact time and everything in the next few days. And if anything changes that, but 22nd, for a couple days just for the people that signed up. Right now we have several ways that people can earn currency. They can do Telegram referrals. They can do email referrals. Those things are totally optional. When you sign up for the Typeform link, you're just signing up for the airdrop. You don't have to invite anyone to be a part of the airdrop. It's just, again, an optional thing that people can do. And then, again, as I mentioned, it would be about $4 million at the minimum, and we'll see what the demand is. And we could potentially increase it. The tokens themselves will likely be distributed, at the earliest, the end of March, likely sometime in April. There's some things that we have planned that we want to announce to the community, and that's likely when people would be, getting their first distribution, and they'll be coming out at the same time as, the tokens for anyone that was fortunate enough to participate in the private sale as well.
Okay, great. So the last question, and the one that was requested the most, would just be, what is the future of Current? Where do you guys see yourself going in the next 6 months or 1 year or something like that?
Yeah, so again, like for us, like when I think about Current and I think about what we're doing, I think that we're really shaping what consumption is today. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but today, if you think about what your consumption trade-off is like you don't get anything, right? Like your value is zero because media platforms are preying off your data, preying off your attention. I think that with Current, you can change that. If users, think about or like, okay, well, this platform is paying me to do these things, and then all platforms should do that. And I think that that's where the trend will go over the next years. Then I think that what Current is doing is being the first industry mover in that. And we're not doing that in just like the Western markets. We're not doing that in just Europe. I think the way that we developed the Current ecosystem was first to have a platform that allowed you to get any piece of media anywhere in the world in a very amazing way. But we developed this protocol so that other platforms don't need to even be a part of the current network and can also create that model for themselves. If you think about that and what that means, companies like YouTube, companies like Spotify are not in China today, but Current can be in China because we can work with Chinese versions of those services or the Russian versions of those services where these platforms don't exist and provide that incentive-based ecosystem for that. So when you see where our overall impact can be, whether it be the next 2 billion people that are coming online from the African geographies and India and all these other places, or the or India and China or whatever, we have the ability to impact that and impact consumption and impact what that value exchange is. And when we think about business, like I think about it in that bigger sense of things, and how that we're rewarding those people as opposed to just being a platform. That, because if you think of what a success means for a platform, it could be like 500 million users. That's pretty successful. But when I think of Current, I think that we can impact several billions of people. So that's what I see success in the long run. In the next 6 months, I would love to get the Android out for all the other people by the end of Q2. And have the first versions of our attribution protocol out and announce some of our early partnerships here in the next 6 to 12 months. So that's kind of like what we're looking forward to in the near term.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like there's some exciting things coming up for the current project. So that was actually all the questions that we had for this AMA now. So was there anything in closing that you wanted to wrap up, maybe anything that I missed or you wanted to touch on just in your final remarks?
Nah, man, I think we did a great job on it. I think that it's important for the community to know that again we're here 24 hours a day. We always have people on call. We have Chinese speakers. We're bringing on a bunch of other people that are also speaking these other languages to provide assistance for our community. I'm personally always perusing the Telegram. And even though it's tens of thousands of messages a day, but I'm always available here as well. And I think that we'll do a lot of these here in the upcoming weeks for the community as well.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. I know I personally learned a lot about your projects, and I really just enjoyed talking to you. All the information with Telegram, website, how to get signed up, all that stuff will be in the description box down below for you guys who are watching on YouTube. And Dan, thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Thanks. Appreciate your time. Have a good one.